Well, we've had 12 seasons prior of RPL Tier 2, but it's time to add lucky number 13 to this one. Welcome along, folks, for the first RPL Tier 2 race on F124. It is time to lock in and get the action kicked underway here for tonight's event. We've already had 2 preseason events with this tier, and now it's time for the real thing. Round 1, Bahrain. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me for tonight is a previous Tier 2 driver now after he terminated his contract, Lando Fornoris. Welcome along.
Hello. It is time, like you said, lucky 13. I don't think it's lucky, but hopefully this season is an absolute thriller. We've seen the thrilling action in preseason, but now points are scored on Friday for 10 straight weeks. It is time to get this season underway in the desert of Bahrain.
Very true. I don't see you online on F1, so I hope you can get in here soon. That being said, I gave you an invite. With that being said, though, let's talk about Tier 3 yesterday just briefly and last season's most recent race in Japan. Dill JG won that one to cap off Season 12 Tier 2. Not only did he win that one, but he was joined by JNT Gaming, capping off quite an amazing season. The champion. Ferrari won the Constructors. Blue Goggy got back on the podium. First time for Red Bull. Also, Tier 3 yesterday, we said we'd speak about it, so it was a Ferrari 1-2 there as well. It was the first 1-2 by Ferrari in the lower tiers at a season opener, and it was done by RSF1 Invade, winning for the first time after being in this league for about 4 years, getting the victory over his teammate Rapid Owen, and we had a VCarb back on the podium. This time it was with RPL Jordan, so quite interesting storylines from yesterday's race ahead of this one.
Yeah, lot of sketchiness in that race, but it produced some really good racing, and like you said, Ferrari starting their season strong in the Tier 3 with a 1-2. Now we focus ahead on the Tier 2. What can Ferrari do up there? What can Red Bull do after their, well, to put it to you frankly, a disaster yesterday? Both drivers just getting the strategy very, very, very wrong.
Yeah, and that did not help with what Red Bull did. It does make a bit of an interesting look, in a good way for VCarb, but a bad look for Red Bull in terms of VCarb having a podium before they did. So, yeah, it was not a good experience for them. But in terms of this circuit as a whole, we had a season opener here just 3 seasons ago, actually. And it was Ferrari on pole, but it was McLaren versus Red Bull, Hunted versus Grandpa for the win. Grandpa's got podiums in the last 3 season openers in RPL Tier 2, but this season is going to be the first one he's not going to have one, since the first one to start off Season 9 on the F123 game. That'll be interesting to see who will be the driver maybe to continue a streak or not. I mean, last season I think it was JNT on the podium. He's in a Sauber, so I doubt that will happen. Last season's champion. You also had as well, I think it was Joe Wilson on the podium. He does not have this game. But in terms of drivers coming back to RPL, drivers debuting tonight, let's talk about it for a quick moment. We didn't get to talk about this on the Instagram, but we're going to have you tell us, Lando, what kind of snatches your eye with these guys returning or either debuting. So RPL Jordan returns to Tier 2. We did some preseason. Didn't really do much of last season, let alone anything at all. You have John making his debut. We've seen him race before. Others in here have not. Polo God making his return to Tier 2. He did a small stint in the Alpine just 2.5 seasons ago. He will be returning full-time for the first time in RPL in over a year. Vibe Hazza, I believe this is his debut. We've got Lojovic returning. He only did, I think, 2 starts last season. Weren't great in Texas, but it was better in Monza. FBL reserving. Got lots of seat changes, but Jake Bandy racing the Tier 3 race. He'll be racing in Tier 2 for the first time tonight. So lots of storylines, Lando, but which one catches your eye?
Just looking across the grid, it's a stacked lineup, and I think the Sauber team's looking very nice with JNT and Polo. Again, and Polo coming back. So hopefully it's a good start for his season. He's been out of the league for a little bit, but he's back, and hopefully he's as strong as ever. Hopefully he can match the reigning champion, J&T Gaming 101. But I will say my big surprise and my guy that watched is Blue Guy in the Rebel. We saw in preseason, kind of iffy, not really doing anything too special to where that Red Bull should be, but it was preseason. Points are now scored. Can he rise up to the occasion? He's been given that top car. He's been given the chance. Now can he finally run away with it and clean up any kind of mistakes he had in that preseason? I think he's the one to watch this season.
Very, very true. It will have to be quali. So, one thing I just want to go over before we ready up, which we are going to be doing right now, is let me just ping tier 2 so they can ready up. Since Hunter, the tier coordinator, is not here tonight. He's one of the drivers not in this one. Oh, Patrick has his desk broken. That's why he can't make it. All right, well, that is a bit of a reasonable one. A lot of drivers use desks to race. I can understand that. But yeah, for the tier 2 calendar this season, here are the following tracks. We have Bahrain to start off tonight, then Qatar, Austria, Spain, Spa, Britain, Hungary. We return to Monaco for only the second time in this tier. Then we end off with Texas and Brazil. Another Brazil finale, first time since, I believe, season 10 there, just about 2 or 3 seasons ago. Our lineup, though, as a whole, we've got Mercedes being filled by Wavy and Mentaki. Aston have Redfire and Nathan. Williams have Vibe Has. I don't think anyone else is alongside him. Ferrari have Tadpole and Dill JG. Haas have Lajovic and Alistair, the first, one of the first drivers to take a Tier 2 podium in the first race here back 12 seasons ago. Kicksauber, also known as Stake, have J&T and Polo God returning. McLaren have Hunted and what was going to be Bino, but it is now alongside him with John. Alpine have Patrick and Kipu. Red Bull have JTK and Ardell. Well, it used to be Ardell. Now it's Blue Goggy. They changed that just yesterday. And VCarb have Ardell and SSR William. Lando, we're about to start this qualifying session. Obviously, most likely going to be a dry one, knowing we're in the desert. What strikes your eye from that calendar and driver lineup? We have a lot of returning drivers. We have a lot of familiar faces. And for tracks, we have a lot of familiar tracks as well. Not many returning that weren't on previous games. But yeah, this shall be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice and cutthroat schedule that we have. I love street circuits, and I like challenges. I love that we finally have brought back the streets of Monte Carlo onto the schedule. It's about time, we see a little bit of difference. Yeah, you can't pass, but who cares? It's Monaco. You gotta have it eventually, right? Come on. It's the principality. It's the crown jewel of Formula One. You gotta have it in a league at least once a game cycle. I like Spain. I think Spain on this game is very fun. I don't say that a lot about Spain. I don't really like Spain, but this game has really given me that. Driver lineup and team-wise, obviously I'm biased here, but I like McLaren's lineup of John, and Kipu. I like Ferrari with Tadpole and Dylan. I think they have a very strong car under them, considering that what we've seen throughout preseason. Ferrari, I think, consistently was the team to beat. And I think Red Bull, they're on a back foot, especially after Tier 3's race. But hopefully they'll get strong. I think Mercedes is a underdog in this. I think Mentoki has various amounts of effort, and she is gone absolutely wild in that Mercedes. And I think it's going to pay off eventually in this league and this season. I think for the back half teams, it's just going to be about opportunity. And I think I've driven the Haas, and I know how dreadful it can be. So I think for teams like Haas and Alpine, and we saw yesterday with VCarb, if you get a good flyer in, a good session, there's a lot of opportunity. You just have to stick your front wing in nice places and just pray for the best. It's about opportunity and taking it. I think this season is going to be the one where you see a lot of it.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. We're about to start some laps here, and with the time of day that Tadpole has messed up, it kind of feels like we're in preseason once again with this. But a cloudy Bahrain circuit a little bit of a surprise there with that being said. But either way, we're about to get RPL Ardell on a lap. He used to be called ERS Ardell. Now, racing in RPL, more than ERS it seems. Maybe, I don't know what ERS's state of league is like, but as for Ardell, he's changed that name this season. And maybe knew him with it as well. Only 1 or 2 races last season he had a race that he was in contention for a podium. I think back to a race like Monza where it was so chaotic there. Ardell kind of bent his chance twice there. Austria, he was on the podium until post-race penalties came into his name whenever he decided to go over the white line at the pit lane, which you need to be all 4 wheels with in that. So Ardell 28-2 in the first sector to watch this V-carb. Lando, if you don't mind trying... Oh, he invalidated that one, Ardell did. If you don't mind trying to fix audio here for me, if you can, because it is a little staticky through the stream. I don't know if we can do much about that. That is Twitch through Xbox for you. If you can, try to uninclude your audio, then include it again to see if that does fix it just a little. I'm going to run on board with Kipu, though, because Ardell is invalidated. But as for Kipu's sake, he's taking advantage on Hunted missing tonight. And that's going to play into him quite well. You got Alistair missing in the Haas, Hunted missing in the McLaren, Patrick missing in the Alpine. You've got, I feel like we've got a few other drivers missing. Nathan Richards in the Aston Martin missing. Yeah, I think that's about it for our drivers missing this event. But it's nice to see Kipu get another chance in this car. Lando, you probably remember last season. It was Abu Dhabi. He had a chance to take a podium, and he got taken out in the last lap in that race.
Yeah, it was a very wackadoo type final lap there around Yas Marina last year's game and in the final race. It's just, but now you gotta let that behind you. You know, that's the old game. Just gotta move forward from that, and you still got a good chance. I think. What can you do? But you know, again, it's gonna sting. That stuff like that will always sting. But you just gotta muster ahead from it. Just not have it in the back of your head, whether or not the way you want to take it. It's that's your choice, but it's better to just let things go, even though you lost the championship from that one moment. But you know, it's a new game. A lot of things can happen. If it makes you feel any better, J&T's in a car that's all right, I guess. I don't really have any kind things to say about that Salver, but it's all right. It gets the job done, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice in some ways. JTK coming across the line second fastest, just behind Tadpole right there, who leads the charge. You got John Jordan, Kipu, some of the drivers who set in laps right up there in the top 5. 8 drivers have set laps so far. Optical is joined. He's going to be our 19th different driver for the event tonight. I was saying whoa right back there because Blue Goggy was, I think, getting a slipstream from Ardell, and he almost hit him trying to go past, picking up the slipstream, and that could have been catastrophic for the pair of them. SSR Williams, 6th fastest. We're on board with Mintaki now. 12.5 minutes remain, and Blue Goggy, we've switched off of him because he invalidated right there, so that has obviously hindered him. He'll have to go for another one. J&T Gaming, the most recent Tier 2 champion, 6th fastest. Remember, with Hunted not being here, we have only 2 champions in this race tonight. 28-1 from Mentaki, but let's ride on board with her. Turn 8 right here. Gonna be tricky on the traction. You want to go to 3rd gear. She's in 2nd, so you're gonna have a little bit more trickier time getting on the power out of this corner. Turn 9 and 10, you can brake so late for. And I think you can brake even later, considering the Mercedes is one of these cars that just does not have the straight line speed compared to the others.
Yeah, this car is a very draggy boy, but Toki is just absolutely sending this Merc. I gotta say, the traction on this Mercedes has looked pretty well. At a turn 8 though, 2nd gear, a little dicey, but she's kept it under. And that's all you really gotta do is just find things what you gotta do. You just set a banker. All you gotta do is there's a car just pulling off to the right side, that's a Red Bull. But nonetheless, it should be a decent flat for Mintoki. She's going to come across the line into the overtake mode. We're going to be speaking a lot about the ERS this year, and she's going to move up into P2. And, you know, all things considered, not too far behind the Scuderia, Tadpole.
Wavy Knife, her teammate, is on a lap right now, and you spoke about something that I was just going to mention at some point during the session, ERS modes. What do you want to do with it if you're a driver? When do you want to use that overtake button? Most of your laps should be in hot lap mode. You should have this section with Wavy Knife, which is what Wavy Knife is coming through now, who just had a big wiggle right there. He should be in medium right about here. This is going to be what helps him propel up the order a bit more. He's using hot lap, which is good and all, but you're not going to save ERS when you do deploy that overtake button, which you might apply out of turn 8 for just a split second or two. Out of turn 10 down into turn 11. Kipu just improved, by the way, on a lap, and the McLaren. You have the last braking zone as well where you could possibly apply it. You've got another place where it could be applied down to turn 1. Down to turn 4. It's all about how you utilize it, but you don't want to be in a position to where when you do deploy the overtake, like right at the line, it will say deployment used because you will lose a tenth or two that you would have gained on the overtake battery. And especially in the race as well, how are you going to utilize it as well? That's something that drivers will have to adapt to, no doubt about it. Wavy Knife, not going to be the best of laps for him. He's only 8th fastest. This is not good from the driver who only had 2 decent races last season in the points at China and France, but back in a car that he struggled with for so long in RPL. We'll see how he does tonight. He said Bahrain's not one of his favorite circuits. Well, for Dill JG and the Ferrari, I think this Ferrari car, it's a favorite circuit for them, no doubt about it. They would love to do well tonight after what they did in Tier 3. ERS modes, Lando, it's going to be an interesting one. I don't think anyone really knows what to do for qualifying.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one, and that's what makes it exciting as a viewer, because even we don't know what's going to happen. I like to think that you want to use none for about half of the middle sector. If you're gonna be the guy that wants to blast the overtake button, which, let's be honest, I think everybody wants to blast the overtake button out of the final corner, I do think you have to run none in that middle section. So from turns, like you said earlier throughout the week, turns 4 through 8, you don't really need to use the battery there. But I don't know. Some cars maybe the ERS is different on different cars. I don't really know. But it's interesting to see this because we don't know, they don't know. They're just having to adapt lap by lap, corner after corner. Where does the batteries? Here's an example. Dylan runs it out right at. Oh, he kept it. He just kept enough battery.
Wow.
Gets him through that entire lap. If that line was 50 feet more, he would have ran out of deployment. And big thing, like you said, when that battery goes off, the RPM.
Blue Goggy, we're on board with him now, and as he tried to pick up a slipstream from SSR William, he almost ran out of the back of his academy team. I used overtake here right before the S section, but he's got it stuck in hot lap, and he goes for a spin right here into the gravel, and he's going to be lucky if he doesn't get beached. He's just got beached right here, and now he's gone out of it. Luckily, he's just got himself enough time to not get in the way of that kick Sauber. That was JNT Gaming. Luckily enough, not on a lap time there. Polo God set a lap. He was in the pit lane for quite a while. He's 11th place. We got 16 drivers who've set laps. Blue Goggy, though, spinning out right there. One of them who definitely will be hindered throughout the session, not having a lap until at least probably 5 minutes left, I'm going to have to assume. John improved as well. 4th place right there for the American driver on debut. And the McLaren full-time driver now as well.
Yeah, it looked like Goggy may have clipped the inside curve and just got all a little loosey-goosey and just went around. Luckily, though, didn't beach it like you said, so his qualifying will go on. But once again, the preseason struggles starting to creep in again now on the real deal. About halfway through the session, I gotta tell you, my qualifying standout is both of the Aston Martins, 5th and 8th. Red Fire and RPL Jordan in the Aston Martin, really bringing the heat towards McLaren, and they split one of the Ferraris.
Well, speaking of Ferrari, Lando, we've got a Ferrari who currently sits on pole position right now on a lap. Tadpole going to overtake here right before the S section and 64,000 stuff. It was a 28-0 in that first sector, and you can just see how planted this car is in the S section. Turn 8 right now, 3rd gear for the driver here. This is exactly what I expected, him to go 3rd gear, and he's doing exactly what I thought he'd do. Using some of the information he gave the Ferrari Academy chat for qualifying in order to hook it all up here. Here comes Tadpole, now into turn 11. And I spoke about what did he end up putting in the Ferrari Academy chat. Well, most of the Ferrari guys will know, and I'm not really going to reveal everything about it, but he put in a specific map of when he wants to use battery at certain point, whether it's overtake, hot lap, medium, none on the qualifying lap. And you could already see how much of an advantage it is pulling for the Season 7 champion. 2/10 up on the time. He is absolutely flying. And Ferrari took pole in Tier 3. They won in Tier 3. And right now with 6 minutes and less remaining, he'll extend the gap 26-4. An incredible margin by Tadpole to extend pole position.
Yeah, I mean, that was an absolute perfect lap. And like you said, he has a track map of where he wants to use the battery. And he's just absolutely sending. But not only that, the car just looks like it wants to do what it wants to do. He's turning it in, no hesitation. He's pushing the car to the track limit, not going over it. Anything that he's doing with this car is just working, and the gap being 7/10, that's going to be really, really hard to beat if you're Mintoki or JTK, maybe John. But we all know how fast this track can improve. Is there 7/10 a lap time on this track? Absolutely. But you have to unlock it. And for some of these cars, like the Mercedes, it's going to be really difficult to find it, as Mintoki going out on her final run of the session.
Well, let's try to stay tuned in with laps, because I think Kippo might improve. He does improve when he places Lando, but he does improve 2/10. He is much closer to Dill JG and Red Fire. And to your point about the Aston Martins, 5th and 8th, I would expect their car to be probably 8th and 10th, 8th and 9th. Not too bad from them in this session. Ardell as well. We've seen him struggle in top cars since he went full-time. He's now in 9th in the V-Carb, ahead of his teammate by 2 places and ahead of JNT Gaming. So very neatly done there. By the way, Optical retiring from the session because he had a qualifying ban to serve, being on loan and late to the session. So that is why he has retired. We're going to go on board with Dill JG for a lap. I'm going to have you cover this in just a moment. But I want to talk about one thing about this that people will want to know. Oh, is he up? He's pitting, so we're going to wait for a lap. I want to talk about one thing that I think people should know ahead of this event tonight that we spoke about slightly in Tier 3. So, with the ERS flashing, a lot of things have been confused by this from the drivers. People will think, oh, it's only because you're below 10% this game. Well, that's not the case. If you're in none during a race, you will be flashing. If you're using overtake during a race, you will be flashing. Same thing for being 15% or below in the battery. So some things have changed from this game. SSR William has given up right there. I don't know if that's a retirement on track or not. I can't make out if it is. I want to see if it is. No, it's not. It was the pit lane. It looked like his car was still going, but it was going in the pit lane. Yeah, Mintoki, she's on a lap now. She just navigated through 1 through 3, and now 4. This is a very tricky section on traction, Lando, but as you get to 4, I'll let you take over it. But this is where the lap really starts if you're not getting good on traction.
Yeah, she had a really good sector 1. She was down by 3 1,000s, but she was absolutely sending this W15 around the circuit Bahrain. Second gear again, really playing limits, and she's backed off, or yeah, she's backed off. She's just gonna re-rack the battery and go again. 2 minutes left in the session. It's all or nothing for this Mercedes. Tadpole's retired. He believes his lap time is good enough, and I gotta say, it'll be very, very tight. But if there's anyone that can challenge, I'm looking at Dylan, JTK, John, and they find a magical lap around the circuit of Bahrain. I think it's possible, but to hook it up. And Tadpole, on that last lap, I think maximized every bit of the racetrack. So it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to get closer.
He's already called it quits, Lando. He thinks he's good on keeping pole position, and he said he changed something in the setup overnight when practicing for this race, and you know that that will help him majorly, no doubt about it. Well, in the preseason event that we had here just a few days ago, in preparation for this, it was a last-minute decision to run a preseason event then. We had Tadpole, I believe, second to his teammate right up there, and maybe some legitimacy being questioned on whether or not he should be in Tier 2 still is one thing being talked about. But the pole time from that event that we had was a 26.7. Tadpole's on a 26.4. Will he remain on pole position? Get your predictions in now in the Twitch chat. Let us know what you think. Polo God starting a lap. We've got Mentoki on a lap, and everybody else will be coming out for a final lap. But that queue right in Sector 2 is absolutely insane right now, the drivers there. We're going to look at Polo God for Sector 1. He's invalidated. He's now going to need to push on this lap in order to get the second lap going. He's backed off, obviously, since invalidating, going out of bounds there. But really, we don't talk about track limits a lot around this circuit, Lando. Really, the only tricky places before we cover any lap I just want to talk about is going to be turn 1 through 4 on track limits.
Absolutely, and I think even, turn 13, the penultimate corner, I think that'll be another tricky spot. We've seen different lines being used there throughout all week, but I gotta say that was a very clumsy and maybe costly mistake for the Sauber driver, Polo. Just barely getting over the curb. His Red Fire Tiger is just absolutely sending it. Every driver about to start their laps. It's traffic paradise in Sector 3 as both of the Red Bulls about to complete a lap. 30 seconds left to go in the opening session.
John up a 10th already on the time. He's finding time on his RPL debut and improving already. You've got drivers in the top 5 in 5 different nationalities. Tadpole for Britain, Mentoki for Korea, JTK for the Netherlands, John from the United States, and Red Fire from France in that top 5. Everybody is on a lap. Blue Goggy is well included in that. But the checkered flag is waving, and Polo God just made the line to get that lap in for his final one. John is up by 2.5 tenths. This might be the front row, but before he will come to the line, Red Fire will. He improves. He beats John. He's up to 4th. Can John better that, though? He's got JNT Gaming up in front. Yep, John is improving. JNT Gaming is as well. 4 tenths by JNT. Can he crack up in the top 7? Yes, only up to 8th, though. You got John going to the front row there. 5 tenths of an improvement from him. Mentoki's improving by 70 thousandths. JTK's going purple in the second sector. Well, Dill JG's next. Dill JG could not do better. Our most recent race winner is only 6th. RPL Jordan improved, but only just. Next up is the V-Carb. That is Ardell. He improved a place. Mentoki next, improved just a little. JTK next, front row for him. He'll take that over. Kipu's going better by a 10th, but it's all in Tadpole's favor to take pole right now. Wavy's a 10th up. Blue Goggy is coming across the line. Blue Goggy invalidated. He'll start last of the drivers in this event. Wavy Knife across the line now. Wavy Knife, only 11th. Kipu is back into the pit lane, and just like Abu Dhabi, he's had trouble on his last lap. Instead of 13th, this will only be 7th. Lojovic and Polo God, the last ones to come across the line. Lojovic made a mistake. Polo God did not, but Polo God in his RPL return is 13th and 7 tenths off the teammate.
Yeah, and Vibe was the only car that made a mistake, spun out in turn 1, so this lap was just a wasteful lap for him. 17th, but Goggy, massive disappointment in the Red Bull. Your teammate in second, 4 tenths off of Tadpole's magnificent Seb Vettel type lap, and Goggy in the Red Bull again on the back foot. He's gonna have to play the hard game, the hard game of just trying to get up there. And I know it's early in the season, it's race 1, but that is really a really bad look. You've been given one of the top cars, and you just have not performed in an 18-minute session. I'm bad at quality, but this is no excuse. You're in a Red Bull. You have to be with your teammate. You need to be fighting with Ferrari and McLaren. And for you to be 19th with fish tails and spinning around is just not good, and it won't help you or your team. And now it's all up to Goggy to make up for the quote-unquote Saturday of the session and score some big points here soon.
Tadpole takes his first pole position since his championship winning season. That was back in season 7, 6 seasons ago. That was done in Abu Dhabi, a night race. This one, a night race. Tadpole ahead of JTK, the vice champion from last season. Then you have John on debut up in P3 for McLaren. Mercedes is Mentoki's 4th. Red Fire 5th, making it 5 different teams in the top 5. Then Dill JG, Kipu, a little disappointing there. JNT Gaming cracking the top 10. Ardell and Jordan. Outside the top 10, there you got names like Wavy Knife. Polo got on return. Blue Goggy. All those drivers we're going to watch out for and see how they end up doing. Some drivers on debut outside the top 10. Some drivers returning. some drivers in big name cars not having the best of sessions. Dill JG said it's disappointing what he was doing right there. Only 6th, quite a bit off the teammate. You also had as well quite a bit of drivers making mistakes in their last lap. Lojovic was another one. So ahead of this race, before we go over the grid or get anything going, remember, no formation lap. However, one thing we do have for this event that we need to talk about is a bit of strategy. Yesterday, Lando, we saw drivers try a few things, but in trying a few things, it just did not work. Few Red Bull drivers, specifically the main 2, tried a 2-stop. Now,
I think
that's not going to be the way. That's not going to work.
However, that's a really bad one, yeah.
Yeah. However, medium to hard will work. And that's going to be the main strategy. You could go soft hards, a bit of a ballsy one, but lap 1 chaos yesterday, you had Shanghai fly in the air at turn 1, and turn 3 was a little tricky. Not too much chaos, but 5 seconds do they get there through clean.
I mean, I hope so. It'd be nice, because we had a crash on a straightaway. But you know what time it is. It's time to light these lights and go
5 red
racing in
lights.
Bahrain.
And the lights are going out now to kick off the 13th season of Tier 2. It's lights out and away we go. JTK off the line, I think got a better start than Tadpole. Definitely better through the second phase. They all gaggle and go 4 wide in the background, 3 wide a lot through the midfield. Jockeying for position everywhere, but Tadpole tries to take back the race lead. Red Fire Tiger with an astonishing start, and Mintoki and Wavy, both Mercedes, have hit trouble. They're both at the back of the grid, while JTK dive bombs it at turn 4 and takes over the lead of the race. We've got 3 wide. Kipu's trying to gain spots right there on the Aston Martin of Jordan, who took a podium yesterday in Tier 3. Ardell is right there, but Red Fire Tiger, amazing stuff around the outside, is about to take second place in this race. He's gained 4 spots almost.
Absolutely remarkable start by both Aston Martin drivers, 2nd and 6th. I'll tell you who else has had a great start. Polo God, and there's contact in the back between one of the V-Carbs and the McLaren, already getting argy-bargy. There were about 5 wide going into turn 1, as they're all fanning out. But how about Aston Martin bringing the hammer down already, 2nd and 6th? Can they keep it up?
That was a beneficial start for Blue Goggy as to what you were saying in qualifying. 7 spots right there for him. 4 for Optical, who served the qualifying ban. 3 for Polo God. 2 for Ardell. 4 for Jordan. And 3 for Red Fire Tiger. He is going to be really in the fight and going to have a chance to give Aston Martin their first podium in nearly 3 seasons. Last season, it was Mintoki in the fight for the podium in Britain on the season opener. But this time, he's about to take the race lead if he can just get close here, as now for the first time on lap 2 in Tier 2 ever, DRS is enabled.
Yeah, as we get a little move here, Polo versus William into turn 1. He's going to make a lovely move and clear the Sauber. As we got a little action up front, here we go. Drag race, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari. If we're talking power unit. Doesn't have a but there's contact! Ferrari splash, McLaren splash. Here comes the Aston Martin picking up the pieces. He's gonna go 3! Is he gonna get 2 and 1? Bargy in the middle sector. How about that? But he's gonna complete the move. Aston Martin 2-4.
Oh, Ardell's getting aggressive in the mix as well. He's raced John before, but never in RPL. Ardell, late lunge, going through, and now into turn 10. Get the braking point right. It's going to be so tough right here. You mentioned lap 1, Lando, where it was an accordion effect, and nearly an accordion effect for 12th place. Polo God getting swarmed up. He got overtaken by William and Blue Goggy. He's now down toward the Alpines here. But at least Sauber have both their cars still in contention for points. Mercedes right now cannot say the same. Wavy getting back on Lojovic right there, but Mintoki, since the start, after what happened to her, has not gained any places, while Vibhaza has lagged out. He'll need an invite.
Yeah, but the good thing for Mintoki is that she may have had that spin, but she's back in that train of DRS, and now she's just got to make overtakes work. She's moved up 1 spot on Vibe, but here we go, down the main straight. JTK versus Red Fire. Fire gaining all the time in the world, gaining. As they're swabbling in the back, maybe for more spots, he's gonna hold right back in station, maybe for an attack in turn 4.
We've got a few movements on the straight further back. It's Polo God maybe having a screen freeze or something. He's now been overtaken by Wavy Knife right here, and he's going absolutely wide. Remember, on the post patch, this is only his 3rd day on the game, so hopefully adapting to things will be a bit better throughout. Next week, Ardell, I think, has just been tagged by maybe John. Kippu is in the fight as well, but Ardell might be losing DRS right here if he's not careful. He's just barely got it. He is so lucky, as Vipaza has now gotten an invite back to the session. He is back in the fight there, in the battle for 18th at least.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a rear lock or he just lost the rear, but Ardell is very, very lucky to keep that V-carb under his wing. And now this is very crucial. The top two have broken away from the rest of this field, so now it's up to that Ferrari of Dylan. Does he have enough pace to match the Aston? You would believe so. It's an Aston versus a Ferrari, but the Aston's got the toe. He's got the DRS. He's just going to keep on, and I believe he knows that. Redfire knows that. Is he going to go for an attack? We're about to find out. Down the main straight we go on the Aston Martin driver. He's kept the battery in medium. Is he going to close the DRS towards the end of the straight? It looks like he's going for a half look. Doesn't think. He's thinking long. This could go absolutely Aston Martin's way. As right now, RPL Jordan in the catbird seat. Can he pass the Ferrari? We're about to find out. Down into turn 4, he's pushing a lot. Can he go for it? He's too far back, but the Aston Martin looking very, very racy in the early stages of this Bahrain Grand Prix.
Well, Lando, we had some movement further on back. There was the McLarens with Ardell right there in the main straight. Further on back, you saw the two Alpines in the background battling. It's now Wavy Knife who's in the middle of these two. Polo Guide's still in this train. Mintoki now is caught up to this train. She's made some overtakes, and now she's going to go for another one. Down the inside, Polo Guide alongside Mintoki, getting their first tastes of battles with each other. But this time, Polo Guide edging out ahead for now. In the front of that, I think Polo Guide made a lockup, but both Alpines right there had a little bit of a mistake. That's allowed Wavy Knife to kind of take advantage. He's got a little bit closer as well. But Mintoki is up and into 15th place now. Interesting stuff right there, but interesting stuff between the front two, though. The battery, 10% apart, but much more closer in terms of the gap. You said Jordan is in the wings right there, but the interesting thing, though, is how do Redfire and JTK manage this cat and mouse game in order to pull away from DRS? Because they have Dill JG out of the gap right now, but with this battling about to happen, how much longer? For the first time in quite a while in Tier 2, maybe ever, Redfire Tiger in an Aston Martin takes the lead of the race. RPL Jordan takes over P3, and the pair of them have Aston Martin onto a double podium right now in this race.
Yeah, I believe something was said in that Aston Martin chat because it was go time. Both of them pointing out their moves, and now with RPL Jordan getting that little bit of DRS down to the front stretch as Vibe has just given up already.
Unfortunate for Hazard.
I don't condone that, but can RPL Jordan
really niggled me.
gain onto the Red Bull? And this could be an absolute dream for Aston Martin. They have both cars in the podium.
Hold on.
Collision!
Mintoki and Jake Bandy were trying to go wheel to wheel through the S's, and good on Jake Bandy. Fair play for him to keep that car straight when it should have been facing the wrong way. Optical down the inside of Wavy. I'm sorry to cut in, Lando. This battling is still not done. Down the inside, turn 10 usually is a move where it ends in disaster from lockups, late braking, but this time Optical had his nose in there on Wavy and just still can't get by.
Yeah, Mercedes versus Alpine, both cars very draggy in a straight line, but here comes Mintoki. She's going to go round the outside of the Alpine driver. A little bit of a squeeze. How the Alpine is going to fight this one. Can he get the slide? No. You can't. Through goes Mintoki. Mercedes up to 12th and 13th. Now it's up to them to work together and bring this group of about 5 cars, maybe 6.
For the lead, JTK takes it back from Redfire. And further on back, the two Ferraris, they're not waiting. Almost a switch between them, but a big almost contact between Jordan and Dill JG. John was trying to get the place back on Tadpole, but just couldn't muscle past. It's drama happening at the front of the field. Tadpole and John now side by side. Around the outside, collision! Tadpole! Off!
What a save by Tadpole, but Ferrari now down a driver. Ferrari versus both Aston Martins versus JTK. As it all really popped off into turn 1 with RPL getting a little loosey-goosey into the braking. We got more chaos.
Wavy Knife sent it from far back and got the move done. In the background, Jake Bandy and Lojovic are going at it toe-to-toe here, and Lojovic running into the side of him, but getting past. This is crazy here. From this opening lap here to lap 6, Lando. We mentioned this with J&T beforehand when talking about this race. How critical will it be to stay in the train? Well, the top 11, although 2 of them are out of DRS, they are in this fight.
It's absolutely wild in the lower scraps to the bottom 8. They just can't seem to find a rhythm. But here we go. Red Fire gaining on the Red Bull. Is he going to pull out? Is he going to make a move? Does he have to make a move? He's not. He's just going to wait it out. He's going to bring his teammate. I think Aston Martin are looking for a fancy double overtake here in the coming laps. We'll have to wait and see that. But McLaren, in the background, the tackle is starting to gain back onto the 2 McLaren. So game over is not game over yet for this Ferrari driver. But he does have Ardell on the back end. VCOG versus Ferrari. Is there going to be a move? No, there isn't. JT doing a nice job behind that, but meanwhile, we're going to have a scrap as Goggy up into the top 10. He's had a great start to this Grand Prix. Making up for my criticisms of him earlier in the qualifying, he needs to keep it up and push that Red Bull even higher.
Definitely needed that so desperately, Blue Goggy did, and he has taken advantage of it. But it is quite the race here between JTK versus Red Fire. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Red Fire, in his villain arc, after just 2 seasons ago during Tier 2, he came back into this tier as a reserve. He hasn't been racing in this tier prior to that since F1.5. Why was that? Because Red Fire Tiger got kicked out of Tier 1 due to poor performances from his team, and then ended up getting a reserve chance in Tier 2 in the Aston Martin originally, funnily enough, as a reserve in the same race he and Jordan were in Austria. They took advantage in some of those races, but they didn't have stand-up performances like this. Last season, Red Fire was in the Red Bull and AlphaTauri at times, now known as the V-Carb, having some decent races, but never the standout ones like this. And now, having great pace in this game, putting the fight to JTK, this is what he needs, but his teammate is not waiting around any longer. RPL Jordan takes over 2nd place in this race, and I think the McLaren right there of John got really close to the back of Dil JG, but just could not make anything from it, and I think the 2 Mercedes might be going for a swap. Just close. No, Mintoki and Wavy, though, working their way back up to the points. They're close, but not close enough. Our first pit stop of this race, Lando, Jake Bandy from the softs onto the mediums. We're expecting this to be a 2-stop.
Yeah, very nice strategy by both Alpines to try to maybe promote some early race chaos. It has not worked out, so now they are having to commit to a 2-stop race. Definitely not game over yet. We've seen how these guys have been racing. Just needs to lock in and just get every mileage, every corner, every apex down. But I'll tell you what, both Mercedes have gained about 2 seconds on Goggy and William, who I believe them 2 are working together to gain up to J&T. This race might look very rubber bandy from a spectator point of view, but I can tell you right now, this race is not over. If you're in 15th, I still think you have a money shot for points. As Goggy with a slide, we have Ferrari versus an Aston Martin going on. Dylan gets through on Red Fire Tiger. It's all popping off here into the final corner, but now the gap again, it's out of DRS between Jordan and Dylan. What has happened?
Well, Dil JG crucially got the overtake done on Red Fire there on the second to last braking zone before going into the pits. Smart right there by him, but also smart from John to get the move done at turn 1, or before turn 1. And J&T Gaming, who's had a streak of 14 races in a row in the points, trying to continue it more, now battling toe-to-toe with Ardell. Ardell having to go off the road, and although J&T Gaming and him did make contact, and maybe one of them forced off the other, that will be a place having to give back, and I think Ardell has done that, but then he's gone back down the inside. Got Blue Goggy and William, the 2 Academy teammates, also going toe-to-toe, but Ardell wins out in the wheel-to-wheel combat there, and same with Goggy with William. Optical in, Dil JG in. I'm not going to be surprised if we see more, and that was an Aston of Red Fire having a big tank slapper out of turn 8.
Yeah, Red Fire's, I don't know what's been going on with him for the last lap, but ever since he got passed by his teammate, he's just been struggling. As John in the McLaren is starting to light up into the podium places, but I wonder if that's a bit early for the Ferrari of Dil JG. I didn't expect 8 laps on the medium tire. I thought we would get maybe to lap 12, maybe 14, and then put the hards on. But he's thinking maybe extend a huge, maybe just use these new tires as hard as he can, maybe build a big gap and get himself into this fight, because it seems like it is Aston and Red Bull that have a lot of race pace right now in these early stages. But here we go. Oh, fake it till you make it. RPL Jordan thinks about pitting, doesn't. So we're going to go down the main straight. The McLaren doesn't have DRS, but it does have decent straight line speed as Jordan just easing up on the back end of the Red Bull.
Ooh.
We have a move down the back stretch between J&T and Ardell. J&T gets through.
I saw Jordan lock the rears there at turn 1. I thought he was going to hit the back of JTK, but I think he did that. Therefore, he didn't hit the back of him, braking so late there. Ardell and J&T, another swap there. Maybe another swap into 4 here. Got battling going on in the background, but right now, Ardell ducks out and cannot get through on J&T Gaming, the most recent Tier 2 champion. Like I said, that 14-race streak of points in the worst car still could continue, and it's quite crazy that I'm saying that. Ardell is still swinging behind him, but not going to swing it down his inside. And you said with pit stops being early, William is the next one onto hard tires right there just a moment ago. With Dill JG coming in, though, you can make it about 21 laps there on those hards before you're about at 70%. Maybe a risk of a puncture, just depends on how Ferrari's tire wear is this game.
Yes, and I like that call, Bill JG. Why not? You've been stuck in and out of DRS. You've been popping in and out. Why not try something different? Let's go for an undercut. Let's see what we can do on these tires. Like, yeah, it's gonna bite at some point towards the end of the Grand Prix. It's gonna have to manage fire at some point. I do like that call from the Ferrari pit wall. But I will say this: both Mercedes have gained on Gaggi as we got the Aston Martin and Jordan. Has seized second place. He's coming in. Kipu's coming in. Let's see what tires are about to go on. It's obviously going to be hard.
Smart from Kipu, by the way, Lando, because he was just overtaken there by Tadpole right before pitting. Hards for them. And Blue Gaggi is in as well. He gained a lot of places from the start. Much needed right there. Ardell, dive bomb move at turn 1. Turn 2, they're side by side. Ardell getting through, but only for now. J&T Gaming sticking around the outside. Does have the DRS, however, does not have the ERS compared to Ardell. He's going to have to concede the place, and he does.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Sauber straight line compared to the V-Carb. It's just that V-Carb's got so much more drag resistance than the Sauber. And, I mean, these two aren't going to be too happy to know that both Mercedes are just cracking on. They have really elevated their pace. They caught up to Gaggi pretty quick, I'd say. And now they're going to be right back onto the Sauber here and the V-Carb. Both Mercedes throwing themselves back into the race with great teamwork. Can it finally pay off for them after just a horrific start?
Only one retirement from this race, and it's Vibe Haza. He is the one who decided to call it quits. I'm not sure if he just chose to retire in the pit lane or just had something go on, but not his day here in Tier 2 in his debut race here. As for Red Fire Tiger, you've got Tadpole right here behind for company, pressurizing you. But when do the others come in? John is in. JTK is in. Now, Red Fire Tiger will inherit the lead of the race. However, only just for a moment. Tadpole takes it back and leads this race for right now. But he's on the hards, and he'll be extending for quite a bit longer. And J&T Gaming may have just bottled a chance for points as he picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, a costly mistake from a champion of this tier.
Yeah, that's essentially race over in terms of maybe scoring points. He's going to need a safety car to revert maybe, but revert that 10 seconds into the next pit stop. But
hold on, Lando. Dill JG has jumped JTK, and Jordan has jumped Kipu. We've had some interesting changes here on the race out the pit lane.
Yeah, and it seems that what I said might have worked. You got new tires, let's use them to the advantage. But now he's going to have to play defense because JTK is getting those hards warmed up. And John behind. All three of these are going to get in the DRS zone.
John did the same thing George did yesterday.
Oh, no.
And is just pitted for a second pair of mediums. And I think that might have been an accident from him because yesterday George had his strategy set to a 2-stop, but he wanted to go to the 1-stop, and he did that on accident, forgetting to change his tires. Has the same thing happen to John here, or is this a planned 2-stop?
I don't know what happened to Red Fire, but I think he has a puncture on the front left. It might be a reflection, but
yes, he does. Slow puncture.
Oh my goodness. The Aston Martin, their race from really just going from hero to zero now is going to come in. But I saw a little bit of a fishtail going into the penultimate quarters. I was wondering what happened, and his tires going off. it's an absolute disaster class now.
That's going to put him out of the train.
Luckily, but luckily, he wasn't too far away from the pit lane. It's going to hurt him a lot. But it could have been a whole lot worse. But it's not game over by any stretch. He's going to have a chance.
3 wide into 1.
Whoa!
John on the inside. JTK splitting. Dill JG going around the outside. And still side by side for turn 3. John ahead. But behind him, JTK and Dill JG. They want to put their nose in there. Dill JG is on the inside. And gets ahead of JTK right there. JTK on the newer, fresher hards compared to Dill JG on 4-lap hards. Really got swarmed up right there, and he's struggling.
Yeah, Dill JG really played that perfectly. Boxed the Red Bull in on McLaren, but now it's all up to him to get back to John. He's obviously made that mistake. Can't forget that. He will have to pit again, but it's a very smart move there by Dill JG to force the attack in the defense on JTK. Very smart racing move with the McLaren of John. Almost just pile drove Polo, who's on the hard tire. He has yet to pit. Is he going to make a move? He's just staying back.
Polo God.
He's just going to gain on the front.
John. They've raced before, Lando, but not in RPL. Let's see what happens here. That Sauber says unleashed. Will it be unleashed here for just a few more laps before Polo God comes in? I was just about to say, sorry to cut in. Tadpole, Mentoki, Wavy, Polo, and FBL yet to pit in this race. Polo God staying out, but is this to help a teammate? Is this to help the Academy teammate? Kipu set the fastest lap. John goes through Polo. Now, Dill JG ahead of Polo, but JTK cannot close up enough in the braking zone to get past the Irish driver. He's going to have to wait another straight, and Red Fire's in a massive battle. He's just ahead of JNT, got ahead of FBL. Both of them got FBL. But now in the run to turn 4, JTK back down the inside. JTK late on the brakes. Last late breakers, goes through, but a big spin at turn 1 here. That was Ardell around. He's hit trouble, while another retirement in the pit lane, it is Jake Bandy.
Yeah, another unfortunate retirement. Didn't really get to see what happened in turn 1 with Ardell, but both Mercedes and Tadpole still staying out, as Jake has he's just left the session, retired. Game over for the Alpine driver. But I wonder, where's Tadpole going to fit in on at the end of all this when he pits? Does he have enough of a gap? I think he's going to slot in right where the second McLaren is. Kipu,
yeah.
It's going to be close.
Point. And you know what is the interesting thing about that, though? With Kipu's race now, John can only help out Kipu here by backing Dill JG up in a way to where it keeps Kipu in DRS right here, which he just barely is in, and he doesn't really have much battery to play for. But with what you said about Tadpole, the pit stop loss last game was 23 seconds. Not sure what it is this game, but I'm going to have to assume he's going to come out around the RPL Jordan and Kipu area, to your point. Maybe not right behind Kipu, but right around RPL Jordan. Both Mercedes are close, and they're extending. They're staying out. Which one of them is going to be the first one to blink becomes my question, because they might be banking on a safety car considering the way their race started at the back of the field there after lap 1.
Yeah, I think they're fully committing themselves each to a very late pit stop for a very strong second, their second stint pretty much. But it's really a double-edged sword if John's going to try to back up, because first of it is, you're going to move Kipu up the places, but the other side of that is it's going to benefit Apple a lot more. Again, we don't really know what the gap is going to be, but he's got about 17 seconds between him and John.
Blue Goggy, I think,
be close.
Was just barely able to intercept the place from FBL right there. That was so tight between two of those drivers going wheel to wheel right there in that section. JTK is behind Dill JG to your point there, but Dylan looks to be just out of DRS here. And you know what? You said this helps out Tadpole, but this also helps out Kipu, because this is really going to be the fight for the podium unless John gets gifted with a safety car here. Tadpole is still staying out. Both Mercedes might need a miracle in order to continue their point streak of 26 consecutive races in the points. But as for them, none of them are pitting yet.
Yeah, it's tricky, and I mean, I don't know what's going on with Gog, but whether he's been just in a bunch of battles. But here we go, Dill JG just getting absolutely ran over by JTK. DRS on the Red Bull overtake. It's no question that Red Bull just flies right by. Is he going to be in the DRS though of the McLaren? Did he have enough straight away? No, he didn't. And I think the Ferrari's tire might just be starting to let go. We said it earlier, you know, why not? Fresh tires, let's push as hard as we can, right? But now this is the penalty. Now you have to manage. Now you're the one that's going to get attacked. And right now for Dill JG, it is not working.
Meanwhile, we just had a trade in places between Blue Goggy and SSR William right there. You had as well on the main straight RPL Jordan and Polo God trade places. Polo God, I'm going to guess, is just banking on a safety car at this rate with being on 15 lap hards, especially in a car that might not be scoring points, but JNT Gaming could still score points in this car, at least on track. With that 10-second time penalty, I don't really think it's going to be much like a few games ago where if you're at 50 and the speed limit is at 50, well, you know, you would be able to appeal it. But I don't think that glitch is still in this game. Who knows, though, with it being a Cody's and EA game, you just never know. As for Tadpole's sake, he is coming in. And that is going to be interesting to see where he will fan out. Blue Goggy getting SSR William once again. You got Ardell, the teammate right there, having company for SSR William right here. Both Mercedes here have a chance to come in. First choice is Wavy. Just a reminder, though, as JTK takes the fastest lap, next week's race is in Qatar, so we're still going to be in the Middle East for a little bit, but we're still having a battle here. Kipu and Dill JG. Dill JG going defensive. Kipu trying to attack, and I don't think he can get through just yet. Kipu has to back off and concede a little bit for just a little bit longer. Tadpole comes out just behind RPL Jordan, but in front of Polo God, and Wavy will be in contention for points as they race down the main straight behind that. 3 Academy cars in the same Academy, both V-Carbs ahead of the Red Bull.
Yeah, it's not a good look if you're Goggy getting outrun by not only one sister car, but both sister cars. He really needs to crack down and get it going. I don't know what has happened, but he's just not been on it ever since he switched on to the hard tire. Whether that's a hit issue or maybe he's got car damage that we don't know of. It's certainly not a good look if you're the Red Bull Academy owner and you're seeing both of your sister cars ahead of Red Bull.
Look, he won't like that.
That Ardell is just Tokyo drifting all over the place. Is he gonna Fernando Alonso it? He's gonna Alonso it! What a move by Ardell! But contact!
Ardell through. Blue Goggy has a chance to take advantage. Speaking of taking advantage, Tadpole, while that was happening, Lando took advantage of Jordan. I only caught the end of this. Ardell and William overtake, but these 3 drivers, a part of the same academy, are going toe-to-toe-to-toe, and it looks like Blue Goggy gets SSR William, and he's now in between both sister cars. Mentelke finally is in. Will Polo God come in too? Polo God has to be banking on a safety car here. We've not had the safety car, but we've had 2 retirements. And again, second place up for grabs. Dill JG has it. JTK trying to switch it back around the outside. JTK has gone back through, but remember, once John pits again, this is the net lead of the race, and Kipu balls deep down the inside. This is going to be a risky move, but if he can pull it off, a big price to pay, and he will go side by side, and on the S's, don't keep it that way. They don't. Unbelievable action.
Yeah, Kipu trying to do what JTK did on... Not JTK, Dylan tried to... no, Kipu tried, my bad. Kipu tried to do what Dylan did to JTK there a couple laps before, box him in. The Ferrari said... Hell no, I'm gonna barge you up. And I'm surprised there wasn't a wreck from that.
If Polo God hits right now, by the way, he's gonna come out around where Lojovic is and at least have a battle with the Academy teammate. But you know he's banking on a safety car. He's holding on to Red Fire for right now, but not for much longer. Red Fire gets ahead. So, with John yet to pit then, where would he come out, though, if there's no safety car? He'd come out around the Blue Goggy battle. So this shall be interesting to see what happens here in the coming moments. I think JTK just missed out on DRS, but you'll have Kipu and Dill JG battling for what's going to be, no doubt about it, the podium spot. But which place on the podium here? Will it become P3 whenever Tadpole ends up closing up here? Right now, Kipu going alongside and ahead. Tadpole in the background has just set the fastest lap, and that is critical for Ferrari to do just that. Polo God is in.
Yeah, now both Mercedes have overcut not only Goggy, but they are now both in scoring position, so they are making the most of their lap 1 meltdown, but I think they have a lot more to offer. I think they can get up to Red Fire Tiger, but in between them is the Sauber at JNT. As we see Goggy, not Goggy, see Polo just coming out of the pits. He's going to be right behind Logic. So yeah, we'll see an academy battle there soon. But John now just clicked out of the DRS. I don't know if he's gonna get
Oh,
DRS.
spin!
Yes, JTK did. Woo! Woo!
Logic has clipped a turn 2 curb, and he is gone for a slide. Luckily, kept it going, but unfortunate for Logic, though, in what's a disappointing race, going from bad to worse. Blue Goggian striking distance of points here based on J&T Gaming's 10-second time penalty for speeding. If Wavy and Mentoki can get J&T, maybe a chance to get Red Fire. It's unfortunate for Red Fire because I think he would have been up there with Kipu and JTK if it was not for the puncture. But in striking distance here for the lead, JTK wants it, John has it, and John back into the pits. JTK, I thought he was going to come with him, but he didn't. He was just slipstreaming the McLaren there, and Tadpole sets another fastest lap, and he is on the recovery drive after his early race shenanigans. He's up to P3, John onto the softs.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Tadpole's absolutely setting it. How about that for Mentoki, the Korean, setting the fastest lap in the Mercedes. Got by JT. JT had a mistake. That gap was about 3 seconds.
Unless the mediums just became that much better. That's insane.
It is really crazy. Just a second ago, they were about a straightaway behind each other. Now, Mentoki ahead of JT, but Tadpole is just on an absolute attack. He's going to get the McLaren Akipu very, very soon.
So, John is now in the back of Ardell, and Ardell is going defensive and just holds on momentarily. Will Ardell hold on by the time of turn 8 with John want to get this move done, and Kipu has been overtaken by Tadpole right there for second place in this race. He'll have to tow along with Tadpole if he wants to get JTK for this win, but it looks like it might be a 4-car race. John at turn 10. Bump in the back of Ardell, trying to move him along and get this place. John on the fresher softs. Ardell on the hards. America versus Canada, but it's in America's favor this time for P11, and it will become P10 with J&T Gaming's 10-second penalty. But if you're John here in the softs, you're going to have to go for another place again.
Yeah, if he's got to go now, and I think he knows that these soft tires probably will only give him maybe 2 laps of peak performance. Yeah, he's just going to wait behind Goggy. That way, he can just run away in the distance. But again, Goggy's just really having a shocker. I mean, this is an absolute shocker for the Red Bull. But here we go, John down the main straight. It's just the question, is Ardell going to try to attack in the back?
Hold on.
He's not close enough.
Wavy and J&T. Wavy sent it down the inside of J&T, but J&T just held on for now. This is crucial for J&T not to lose much time while they battle. FBL is in for the first time this race. Forgot to mention him yet to pit. He had to bank on a safety car. He went 20 laps on those tires. But J&T has finally been passed now by Wavy. And I think John, I'm going to tell you right now, he can probably get these softs to the end. Might be a bit of a risk in terms of the punctures that we've seen so far. But as for John's sake, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets one more place on track right now, going purple in the first sector.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying. He's now put 2 seconds on Goggy within a sector. That is just insane. That's the difference between hard tires and fresh, newly used soft tires, ladies and gentlemen. Just absolutely just ending that MCL 38, making me as a McLaren fan very happy to see. But how about this? We got a battle on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Tadpole
one thing before you say it,
JTK.
You're going to love it. Sam Steed said in the Twitch chat, Goggy's inspiration is Sergio Perez. Well, his teammate might be overtaken here, Lando. And will it be close enough for Tadpole to slingshot and get past? No, but he closes up just so much, and Kipu ran a bit wide. He might lose the DRS right here. Down into turn 10. The next time we do enable DRS after this, Tadpole has the DRS activated, but it's not close enough. John sets the fastest lap, and J&T Gaming closes up to Wavy, but not close enough. And Ardell going for the move, through, ahead, and stays ahead.
Oh my God. He about lit up all 4 tires on my screen, but lock it up. And how about this from Ardell? Just never backing down. And here we go, Goggy making the joke of Sergio Perez, but he really is driving like Sergio Perez, just absolutely nowhere compared to his teammate. In the lower trenches, can't get it done. And Ardell is just flying now. Ardell, can he break away from Goggy? That'll be a story in the Red Bull Academy. Ardell outperforming the top car in the Academy.
As for Kipu, right here, he has never had a Tier 2 podium. Tadpole had a race win last season in Canada. As for JTK, he's won multiple times in this year before and is the favorite heading into the season, but he's not the favorite when it comes to this strategy. You've got hard tires versus newer medium tires and faster medium tires. Instead of 3 seasons ago in this race in the season opener, it was Red Bull versus McLaren. But right now, this is Red Bull versus Ferrari with a McLaren lurking in the background. And right now, Tadpole will retake the lead of this race after having a spin going to the lead. And will he keep this here with JTK now being the one in DRS pursuit? Tadpole's charged up this battery, now gets to use it, blast the overtake, and will easily stay ahead right here. No competition at all.
Yeah, it's a very nice strategic thing, staying behind, recharge the battery for a lap. You have the tire advantage. You know you got the car. You know you got confidence. Charge it up a lap and then go for the attack. Tadpole's done that in and out to half second. But if you're JTK, it might not be all over. When will that tire fall off happen? We haven't seen a whole bunch of it yet. But if you're JTK, all you gotta do is just stay within 7/10. You know, do what he's been doing. Just charge the battery. Just wait a little bit. But again, how long can you wait? Those tires are absolutely flying on that Scuderia. And how about Kipu? He's lurking. He just needs just a little bit of a chaos. Just maybe a touch, maybe a little lockup. And he's right into this winning position. He's in a great position, though, for a podium.
As the medium tires do wear, Lando,
can open it up.
I'm sure JTK can catch up still in this race.
Oh, absolutely. He's just buying his time, I think. I think really it's towards the end of this Grand Prix. I think we will see the crossover between performance of the 2 tires. Yes, it's a couple laps, but we know mediums do wear quicker than the hards. Here we go. Down the straight, the Red Bull of JTK gaining all the way. He's playing games. He's going to stay behind the Scuderia. And Temple's got a little wide. Is that going to open the eyes of the Red Bull? Is it time to attack as William? First one on the board with a penalty that's not speeding. As here we go, the Red Bull down into turn 4. Is he going for the move? Of course he is. He saw that mistake in 1. He's going to go to the lead. JTK opens the wheel a little bit. Max Verstappen-esque. Clear to the lead. Red Bull back in front.
Further on back to Academy teammates. Red Fire and Mentoki. Mentoki's caught up to the Aston Martins, and she's going to give him a fight. Someone in the Twitch chat said Mentoki will get up to P5. Just watch. She's one to watch, and that is exactly right. Right now, you got Red Fire making a mistake and going wide, and now Mentoki through, but did Red Fire let her go for the DRS that he's going to get on her out of turn 10? JNT Gaming and Wavy are close, and now JTK maybe not using battery right there. We just missed the end of that. Through into the lead. Tadpole took advantage.
Look at Kipu, though. Kipu's right on the back. Like I said, just a little bit of chaos, and this McLaren can light up.
They're all recharged now, though.
Maybe light up the leader.
They're all recharged now, Lando, and see, here's the thing with that. I was just going to say, Kipu had the ERS advantage earlier, but now with them being recharged, he really doesn't have the ERS advantage as much as he did prior.
Yeah, it's gone back to JTK. Who's got the ERS advantage? Here we go. Round number 2 of attacking versus defending. Ferrari, Red Bull. Here we go. Down the main street. He's going to go for the move. Is he going to try to maybe do a little lift? Oh, no games play there. Side by side. Tadpole's going to get the DRS. Now, what is JTK going to do? Is he going to try to maybe back up a little bit? He tries. Going to get a little slingshot. It's going to all come down to turn 4. What's going to happen is we got a Haas around. Somebody's around. It's Lajovic around. Into turn 4. We're going to stay single file.
While that was happening before this battle, we had John getting Wavy right there up into 8th place. He might be able to pick off another place here quite soon, but the lead is so close, and it is a 3-horse race for this victory. Tadpole, a little mistake right there. It was maybe a rear lock up there into turn 8. It didn't cost him too much, but that will mess with his tires and surely mess with his head. We've got Ardell close to Goggy still. JNT close to Wavy, and not going to hold on to the points right now with the penalty, but we have to remain on the leaders. 3/10 the gap. Tadpole, so close to making the move, but you know he's just going to stay behind and save a bit of that battery, and he is doing that. Kipu's doing that as well.
Yes.
He's trying to play the long game right here, and he's in position for his first podium in Tier 2. He's had one prior in F2, but the win is right there in front of him as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. All 3 of these guys are on pretty much the same battery, so it's all to play for. 3 cars, 3 constructors. We love to see it. You love to see it. Here we go. Round 3. Now it's going to be Ferrari versus Red Bull. The McLaren lurking behind. Down the main straight we go. Red Bull, Ferrari, JTK going to keep it to the left. Red Bull keeps it to the right. Side by side. Should be job done. No games played. Oh, look at that. JTK trying to get an offset. He's going to do the switcheroo. Can he get the switcheroo? No, he doesn't. But offsets Tadpole into turn 4. This is going to be all JTK. Can he get to the back end and maybe pull out? Is he going to pull out? Yes, he is.
Oh!
Wow, moving under. Very close. Are they going to touch into turn 4? He's going to stab in it. Open the wheel just a little bit. Side by side into the middle sector. Tadpole's going to hold on.
JTK boosted so much right there, and you can notice Kippu in the background right here, only using medium ERS, and still able to put the fight to these guys and keep up. Both Mercedes Academy cars with the 2 Astons and Mentoki in this fight here, and they're gonna have John close up for a 4-way fight in the later stages of this race. It's very interesting, Lando, seeing this right now at the front of the field with the 3 different teams, because it really was 3 different teams for the pole last season in Britain to kick off the season. But this season for the win, it's 3 different teams fighting it out. And what a Tier 2 season we're going to have upon us in the later 9 races remaining, if this is what we've got for round 1.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful to see different cars instead of just the same guy running away with it every single time. I don't know what in God's name Logic has done. He's just spun about 6 times in the last 4 laps. But here we go again. Well, that's a shocker. Anyway,
Logivic's out.
Here we go down the main straight. This just absolutely ruins an attack because yellow flags down the front stretch. I mean, that is just horrible. As you can see, JTK just lurking. There's dives at Danny Rick. Waits to the last minute. How about this, Kippu? He's lurking. Can he get something out of this? As JTK has yellow flags, as one of them is pulled off. What is going on in the background? But here we go, JTK into turn 4, inside line. Is Tadpole going to do the switcheroo? Can he get it done? No. Oh, tractions is something's gone on with the Merc.
Yeah, Mentoki lost a bit of time there at turn 1. I was trying to figure out what happened, but I didn't want to miss the race lead right there, changing hands. And Kippu around the outside of Tadpole. He's not done with this. He wants to put his nose in this fight as well. He just can't get through right there just yet. And John got all the Mercedes Academy cars except for Jordan right there. Mentoki fell down, Red Fire fell down, but John is trying to go around the outside right here and can't pull it off, and Tadpole just closed up so much, but cannot get JTK yet. Now, Kippu's there in the fight, going around the outside right there, both on level peg and battery, and it's still not done. Tadpole hangs on, and John, can he get the move on Jordan? Not yet. This is for P5, by the way.
I am just wondering, looking down the order, James, has about 8.5 seconds. Maybe he could pull off a miracle and just block Goggy out of points. But here we go, down the straight again. 2 laps ago. Ferrari versus Red Bull. Here comes Kippu. We're going to go 3-1. How's this? Here we go, Papaya versus the Scuderia. Into turn 1. Tadpole locks the rears, drifts through. How about the Red Bull on the outside of the McLaren? Here we go. McLaren versus Scuderia. Here comes the Red Bull and JTK. West switch around. Down into turn 4. Who's going to get it? Tadpole in the best spot. How about JTK? Dive out of
Whoa!
Opens the wheel. Oh, cuts the corner. Doesn't cut the corner. Tadpole to the lead again.
Kippu in the equation once again right there, trying to get through on both, but can't. And they both had DRS on the lead car that time. John got through for 5th place, but it's going to be now or never here for what the DRS will be on the last lap. 79% from JTK, 67% from Tadpole, now a none trying to save, and Kippu using all the battery, but is it too early?
You never really know with the way he's been racing. This race won't be decided until the final quarter of the final lap. I was making a joke earlier in the Discord server that we might have a last lap corner pass. Could it happen? Tadpole and the Scuderia absolutely giving us a show. How about JTK and the Red Bull Papaya Nation of Kippu? Absolutely giving the fans, giving the viewers, giving the league what it's all about as we're about to lock in. One more
thing,
lap
Lando.
around this beautiful circuit.
We had a McLaren win their first race in the Season 10 opener with Grandpa But right now, it's all happening in front of Kippu, and he can take advantage at some point here soon. But JTK leads the charge into one. Almost contact right there from the accordion effect. But Tadpole will have the DRS down to turn 4. He's on none. Now he's on overtake. Here goes Tadpole around the outside. But which one's going to come in front by 4? JTK, Tadpole, side by side. JTK just edging past, but Tadpole has the advantage for the S's.
Yeah, Tadpole just edges ahead. JTK just had a shocker. Here comes Kimber. Dives to the inside. It's turning. They touch. They touch again. That surely is giving Tadpole the win. Has to give it Tadpole the win. As we're going to go into turn 10 now. Red Bull versus McLaren. Is there going to be a Alonso? No, there won't be. One more chance for JTK. Can he gain on the Red Bull? I don't think it's enough. I think Tadpole's gotten this one right in the bag. He's played it perfectly.
Big battle for 6th place. Mentoki, Jordan, Red Fire. John's ran away with it, but the two Astons almost come together. Oh no! Optical gets a 3-second in the process, but Kippu, by sending it down the inside, might have cost a chance at both them having a chance for the win.
Yeah, he got a little loosey-goosey as here we go into the final corner. Is Kippu gonna try it? Oh, sliding jump at it.
Tadpole
to the line.
took pole and is gonna win this race with an amazing fight, neck and neck to the line. JTK holds on for 2nd place, but the pain is over for Kippu, taking a first podium in Tier 2. Still JG 4th, John 5th, and we still got a race, neck and neck, banging, contact. Red Fire hangs on over Jordan. That was insanity.
As Foggy versus Ardell. Down the straightaway, it's gonna be a drag race between Red Bull versus Red Bull. To the line, Ardell's gonna get it. Ardell blocks Goggy out of points. Get a Red Bull.
3 photo finishes on the last lap. Both Astons, both Red Bull Academy cars, and 2nd place in this race. But Tadpole, a win from pole. What an astonishing start to the season. He absolutely did amazing. Doing the spin and win right there. That was good stuff. Got Dill JG 4th.
Are you kidding me?
John 5th. Mentoki, Red Fire, Jordan, Wavy, Ardell rounding out the points. But JNT Gaming's 14 race point streak comes to an end.
Yeah, now that's all on him, but holy, have you ever seen that many photo finishes on one lap?
I don't even know if I have.
It's incredible.
I think I've seen 2, but not 3. Optical, the last car to come across the line. 16th. 3 retirements, just like yesterday in Tier 3, but wow.
What a race, and I'm gonna say again.
Can we breathe yet?
How do you finish in a Red Bull that far back? You ruined your quality, and you had such a great race.
I don't know.
And then you get, not only do you finish behind the V-Carb, but you lose it in the worst way possible. Final corner, drag race, and you don't even, and you had DRS, and you still lost it. If you're the Red Bull Academy, I'm sorry, and you can call me brutally honest, you can call me just a jerk. He does not deserve to be in the Red Bull seat. If you're doing that, that's not good. That's not good enough. That's not good at all. You're not Sergio Perez. You cannot be doing that.
Champagne is spraying. Tempers are flaring. You have Jordan and Red Fire not happy with one another. Remember, Jordan was on loan today from the Red Bull Academy, so he's not a full-time Mercedes Academy driver. Not happy, the pair of them, with each other and with the contact with Mentelke, I think a lap or 2 ago, which had caused that last lap drama between the pair of them, basically putting each other on the wall right there at the line. And the wall is quite far away from the track, to say the least. Here's your final results. John on a 2-stop. Look at some of these driver of the day contenders, excuse me. Oh, I can't even go down to get the results. Oh, here we go. Now we can. 3 retirements. I mean, driver of the day contenders, I think spin and win it. Just like yesterday, you got to give it to Tadpole.
I'm giving it to all 3 of them. I don't think they put on a show. Each and every one of them pulled up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fair.
There is no driver of the day. Not one person. The top 3. Give yourself a bow. Absolute class.
Agreed, though. Agreed. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, give it to Tadpole, though.
Yeah, he did win the race at the end. But I gotta say, I loved Kipu's ferociousness there. Yes, it costed him, but you know what? It's little things like that. The difference between a third place and a second place, and I'll tell you, he's got to be aching to lose out on second by 15 1,000ths of a second. But I'll tell you what, if Kipu keeps driving like that, he's easily gonna be a championship contender. Absolute beautiful.
Yeah, if he gets the McLaren full time though, he's Alpine full time. The fact that he proved this in a race that Hunted missed, Hunted may reconsider something. I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? I don't want to take that away from John either, because you know what? He drove a very, very good race.
Good debut. Good debut. Yes.
He had not only a good race, but even when he messed up and had that other stop, he did it again. He just put his head down, put those soft tires on, and I mean, he got a really good result out of it. Yeah, it could have been more, but no, his mistake, yeah, it cost him, but he did a very good job with damage limitation on that, and that is something that whoever's in the McLaren week in and week out, that's what I expect to see from the McLarens. Absolute masterclass.
Well, yeah, Mintoki saying that Jordan did do something wrong there with that, but a Mercedes Academy war there between Red Fire, who was in the fight, Jordan, who's on loan, Mintoki right there. We didn't get to catch all that, but you know what? I apologize if I didn't catch anything that you guys would have wanted me to in the midfield, but we had so much battling there. We caught the 3 photo finishes. We caught the fight for the win, but yeah, I mean, Kipu got a first podium. John points on debut. Ardell returning to the points. His debut in the Red Bull Academy. You mentioned Blugagi having a disappointing one there. J&T Gaming, point streak over. Tadpole back on the top step of the podium. He wins for the 8th time in Tier 2, and he ties 3rd in the all-time win list. I mean, we talked about JTK being a favorite for this title, but with Tadpole spinning and winning, I mean, surely he's a favorite too, right?
Absolutely. I think, remember when I said in the preseason that Aston Martin, you give them the right formula, the right track, the right car, they can be up there? I think today proved it. That first stint by both of the Astons until that puncture, had a chance. I think there might have been needed to be a little more pace. I gotta tell you, Ryan, I think we have 5 cars that can win this race, any race from now on. I really think that we do have just any week, it's gonna be Russian roulette. Ferrari one week, Red Bull another, McLaren. Who's it gonna be? Who's gonna come out on top?
I mean, look at last season. Look at last season before J&T Gaming started putting all those podiums together. Even when he did, there were so many guys in the fight. He was the one who was most consistent. That's what the title maybe won on. Who's going to be the well, I should say not unluckiest, but who's going to be the luckiest of them all compared to the unluckiest, and who's going to put it all together at the right time? I agree with you. Last season, remember the close fights for pole all the time? It wasn't as much the case in the race, but I think we got it in the race right now. This is going to be amazing.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful that, in real life, we do have that in real life. We do have cars that can win any week. We obviously, there's a guy named Max Verstappen out there, but you can think about maybe, give him a little damage. It can be anyone's game. But that's what you gotta love, right? Especially on a video game like this. Just so many cars, so much can happen, and those 3 people that retired, I don't know what's happened, but this is why you don't give up. Look at McLaren.
Yeah.
Look at what John did. That's the reason why you don't give up. You messed up, oh well. He kept going, and you know what? He benefited. Not because of his mistake, but he kept his cool, and he did every lap.
I think he showed ahead of tomorrow for Tier 1, though, Lando. If there's a VSC, the 2-stop will be better. But not on a race without a VSC or safety car, though. It just won't.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And
interesting.
You know what? Fair play to everybody. No safety cars. We had a straightforward race for the
second day in a row.
Second day in a row. How about that?
Second week in a row, actually, to be fair, because you mentioned second week. Japan didn't have a safety car last race before the F124 game cycle. The last race there on F123.
Fair play to everyone. Now I don't know what's going on with the Mercedes war. It seems like there's a war in there. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
well, as Miniko said, once he left, it went down. So maybe I don't know.
I will say, besides maybe what's going on over there, I've had a great time in this booth. What a great race!
I agree.
Everything
I agree.
From start to finish.
It's gonna be such a fun season.
Qatar's gonna be awesome. Qatar's gonna
it's
be so
one
fun.
less race than last season too. Well, Qatar, different pit lane, just like France on F1 2019. Drivers will have to get used to that. Also, start finish line is earlier too. Lots of things for Qatar. A resurfaced track. You're going to have a lot of things with drivers going to have to get used to for Qatar for this event next week.
It's going to be so awesome to see. And I hope everyone shows up for it. Because you know what? I think this race, and even throughout preseason, we can race really good. We got some really good people. Just
right drivers, right race.
But
that's what it takes.
we really are on top for a very, very exciting season. That I believe this championship will go all the way into the final corner of the final lap of whatever tracks the final race.
Did you see my predictions last night in the Tier 2 chat? I predicted a three-way fight. We might get that three-way fight now. We might. A four-way constructors fight happened last season. I mean, we didn't have the teams close as much, but if everything goes the way it did maybe last season with a few chaotic races like a Monza, maybe like China at the end, there's definitely a few other ones. Abu Dhabi had a chaotic one. If we have races like those, that will be the type of races where the constructors fight does close up due to them having bad races. And also, you mentioned as well, the lower guys who retired in the pit lane, 3 retirements. I'll have to figure out why they retired. I would love to ask them, but for their guys' case, I don't think a podium is out of the question if the race gets so chaotic like Monza last season. Logivic was P4 in that race. Mythic was P5 in that race. Valkyrie was P4 in Abu Dhabi, just 1 place away from a podium in an Alpine. Yes, the 6th best car, and Logivic and Mythic, the worst cars with Haas and Williams last game. But you know what? That is going to be the type of season we have when we get chaotic races. It won't happen often, but you know what? You could call today a chaotic race, but today was chaotic without the safety cars. That was the kind of chaotic it was. Abu Dhabi and Monza, they had the safety cars. That's the difference that provided. And you know what? We didn't see it today, but we will see it throughout maybe Qatar with the track more tough on the track limits. Keep your car inside the white lines, and you will probably get a good result. It happened to JNT in Canada, where he finished 6th or 7th on track, and he got a podium from it. It's going to be the case for some of these guys if this field is that close like it is around here. But next week, where it's easier to pick up track limits, not as much the case around Bahrain.
Yeah. Bahrain is really the appetizer of the track limits to what Qatar is going to be, the 7-course meal of 2 strikes and you're done. I think if you get 1 warning in that race, you really just have to be so conservative with the limits. And you know what's really going to be fun? The tire wear. That's one of the tracks where we've seen a big offset between one tire and another tire. That'll be very interesting. Could there be a 2-stop? Does somebody feel it? Does somebody feel that, you know what? I don't want to stay tires. I just want to go. I just want to race as hard as I can every single lap. Will it pay off? Will it not? There's only one way to find out, folks. Tune in next week for it.
And we'll find out the rest of this weekend, too, what happens in the remaining 2 races. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, we have F2 at Spain for the season opener. Their tier returns. We've had 18 prior seasons for F2. This is our 19th, and we're looking at a 76 different winner tomorrow. Speaking of 76 specifically as a number, Kipu became the 76 different podium sitter tonight. So will we have of tier 2? So will we have our 76 different winner in F2 tomorrow? We'll find out. Got action there in Spain for a feature and sprint race. We've also got F1 in Bahrain for our tier 1 season. Not a lot of people always tune into tier 1, but I recommend you do so. This field is close. Cookie is not the fastest from what we've seen so far in time trial. Will he be stomped on and not go back-to-back in terms of the championship? We'll have to find out there. Also, tier 3 in Saudi Arabia next week, and tier 2 in Qatar to resume things for this tier. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles. Alongside me, Lando for Norris, the driver who took podium at Saudi Arabia in the 2nd round of Season 5 Tier 2. We'll see what driver can do that at the 2nd round next week in Tier 2 at Qatar. Until next time, have a good one. We'll see you then. Good night.